everyone. This is another Freedom to Feel conversation, and my guest today is John Kimble. He is an online personal trainer, life coach, former amateur boxer, from psych ward and felonies to fitness trainer and life coach, going around healing others from vices and addictions, just as he did for himself. So, this is my brief introduction to John, but of course, it's brief and it's not really the whole picture. So, my favorite question to ask is, who are you in your own words, John, in this moment? How would you describe that?
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, me. All I am is an offering, right? All I am is an offering from right above. All I do is get up every single morning and give my best self to everybody else possible because that's what I feel like my purpose is in this life because I've been through so much and knowing that it feels obligated to give back to others because of how much I've gave. So that's all who John Kimble is. Actually, I don't even exist in John Kimble. I exist in a way higher frequency way further than myself. That's what I try
Mm,
to. That's what my goal is to aim each and every day.
wow. I didn't expect that, that answer. I love that. How did you learn this understanding? How did you come across this, realization of who you are as a frequency, as energy, and not just the physical body?
Just doing deep internal work, dialogue, especially through times of adversity. It's like the law of polarity. You can't experience the
Yeah.
highest of highs if you haven't went through the lowest of lows. So anyone who's actually been through some adversity and when they decide to transcend self and go on the right path in life, then their knowledge will be just as abundant as it was their downfall. And then, of
Wow.
course, on the internet, there's plenty full of knowledge. I mean, it's the year informational age, so everything's on the internet. So there's plenty of stuffs and guides and podcasts to listen to that really tap into a higher frequency.
Ah, that is so true, though. You see, and this taps into this idea of suffering. A lot of people reject pain or uncomfortable feelings, but there's something about embracing that, right, John, that takes us to a place of wisdom, as you said, of deeper realizations of what we are, not even who we are. So, talk to me for a moment about how do you make sense of suffering? What is your how do you see that? What is your perspective? Why do we suffer?
Well, suffer, I actually like the idea of self inflicting suffering or self inflicting adversity on a day to day
Right.
basis because what we most want to run away from is what's most needed to be ran into. Because the more we run away from a problem that's ailing us, the actually further we get from it and the more we magnify it. But right when we
Mm,
seek deep internally and run right into the problem, trying to find the solution instead of going through instant gratifications that only deters us from it, then we can really seek into that deeper knowledge. So that's what I like doing, because I have a pretty good life, right? So right now because all the stuff that ailed me in the past is in the past. So right now in the present moment, I try to self-inflict adversity with my like 2:45 to 2 a.m. wake up and then the gym in the morning and throughout the day, just self-inflicting it through workouts and stuff like that.
yes. So in ways, it's transferring, right, the energies, because there's something
Yeah.
about suffering, because this in a way is challenging, isn't it? The body always needs work, and it's sometimes not easy. You got to keep it in shape, and you got to keep it clean. There's so much that demanding when it comes from the body and mind too, keeping the mind clear. So I love what you're saying. So transmuting or transforming one kind of, let's say, of challenge into another, into fun. And I love when you talk about training the body. That's what you do as an online trainer. You train other people, you train yourself. What is your first advice when you encounter somebody, when you're training them, when they want to get stronger body and mind? What is your first suggestion? What would that be?
Right, so I use the physical and of course the diet to tap into their best self, but really I like to magnify their problem. Like I was texting somebody yesterday and he's like, "Why are you bringing up my insecurities?" I'm like, "This is how we change everything about you. We magnify your insecurities and we talk about what's
Mm,
most ailing you so we can bring that out and offer in a solution. I wouldn't be talking about it if I couldn't fix it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So I mean, that's what really I like doing is to magnify their problem, what they're dealing with and show them how I could help. That like mind, body, and soul.
Yes, I love the soul aspect. Of course, I have a question for you about that. But talk to me about a little bit about that magnifying somebody's awareness about their issues per se. That's not easy, right, John? To see ourselves, the truth about ourselves, our limitations, really. That's not something that comes easy. It takes vulnerability. It takes being humble. So, do you talk to them about these things before you you, uh, you try to expose them to their own truth, or how do you go about, dancing that dance per se?
Right. Yeah. Well, I talk to them and I just ask them what they're struggling with. And I mean, ultimately, you can't just go out criticizing people because, I mean, they'll just think something negative about it.
Yeah.
Really, what you're doing is calling them up, to who they can be instead of calling them out into, everything they're not. But really, you're just calling them up to who they can be. But no, I mean, you create a bond and a relationship with. That's why I do on my Instagram. I draw them in through the content because I never miss a post. I never miss a wake
Yeah.
up post, anything like that. So that really builds the trust already. So you're already drawing them in through that.
Yeah. And I can imagine that you also share some of your experiences with them, right? To create that connection.
Oh, of course, yeah. I'm very open, yeah, with everything because it's always to tell your story. If I wouldn't have told my story, I wouldn't have got the opportunity to speak in multiple places.
Right.
But telling your
Right.
story is always good because I mean you can connect with a bunch of people like that.
Yeah, there's something about that. So I guess that's a very good time to share your own story in a sense of where you come from before you became, your bio says, before, from felonies and psych ward, all that, those challenges. I guess the question is, what did you think of was happening at that time? How did you try to make sense of yourself, of your mind, when all those things were happening? I would love to hear actually that first before going to the facts of what happened and how it happened. How did you see yourself?
Okay, yeah, yeah. Well, it was really just self-reflection, deep isolation. So when all that stuff, bad stuff was happening, I got the opportunity to look in that third-person point of view and look at my life as like looking at it from above into seeing
Yeah.
all what was going on. So really, I was isolated a lot of those times when I was doing a bunch of the wrong stuff, and ultimately, it saw all the pain I was causing to everyone and it saw what I was doing really wasn't aligned with the person I wanted to become, and it really wasn't me. I
Mm,
was trying to mask all the pain by, externally doing all these criminal activities and all that stuff. So really, that's where I transcended self was being alone, self-reflecting, really listening in to my internal dialogue rather than trying to escape it from an external
mm,
solution. And that's where we have to really change and is to seek deep inside within ourselves because all the solution to our problems exists within us. We just have to really seek deep enough to find it.
yeah. I love that. Yeah, it resonates true to me, of course. Yeah. Going through
Yeah.
my own troubles.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
everything was here, but I couldn't really. It's almost like we are afraid of ourselves, right, John? It seems to me we are running from our own selves when we are going through
Yeah. That
challenges.
pain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much that we think we can't handle and that we just kind of look for help elsewhere. So how do you view success and happiness these days? What is your understanding of those two concepts?
The only success I have is helping others and getting that enlightenment feeling
Mm,
from making them their best self and that feeling because like I'm supposed to be dead like twice, and I'm supposed to
yeah.
still be in handcuffs and everything. So really, I'm just living outwardly for
Mm,
others. So I
mm,
just love the feeling of getting up every day to bring my best self for others, asking what I can do for them because I've done all what I can for myself. I've already done that internal work, and I'm very in deep into the personal development process, and I've really mastered self pretty good. So right now, my success isn't really attached to a goal or a future outcome. It's rather attached to the journey
mm.
and getting up day after day, giving 100%. That's what my true success is.
Wow. I love your wisdom. Look
Yeah.
at you, you're very young, but very wise because you have, in a way, transcended the ego self. That's what in spiritual terms that would be called the egotism. When you use the word soul, I love that because that has been my passion, or my, let's say, go to within the all the traumas that I had and my challenges. I had to hold on to something that felt whole, that felt pure, in order to address the body mind complexities and troubles. So talk to me about this soul space, this spirituality. What would that, how would you describe that, if you could, with words?
Oh, spirituality? I think it's just
Yeah.
connected to a higher frequency. Like, really, when the mind and body fail, that's when the soul takes over, and that's when we connect to something way beyond ourselves, which is something from above, or whatever you believe in. But
Yeah.
obviously, we're all attached to something because every religion falls back to one truth, and it's just amazing, really, how you can feel when you truly seek deep within your conscience and overcome what's hardest for you. If you really ran into everything that was most hardest for you and overcame that, you will be so overwhelmed
Mm.
by the abundant amounts of clarity that you'll receive. And I always tell people, yes, I'm 18, right? But I don't even believe in age in numbers. I believe in age in
Mm.
wisdom.
Yeah.
So I've transcended myself so much to where, like, my habits are so aligned with the person that I want to become mentally and physically, that I'm so connected to my conscience more over a person who's like 30 plus years old that's still drinking and doing drug stuff that I was doing at 15 and still having those habits as a 15-year-old. And he has that mindset and that level of wisdom because his habits are congruent to that level of wisdom. But yeah, the
Mm.
spirituality is, that's all it is. It's just connecting to a higher frequency. And there's many ways to do that, but my two favorite ways is through intense physical action, pushing the body beyond what you think it's capable of, getting up and doing everything you thought you couldn't do, and giving to others what you wish to receive within yourself. So if you want positivity, you would go give that to others.
Mm. Oh my God, John, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, we want to see that more, Yeah, like the age thing is just an age. I agree. I don't go by that. But it's beautiful to see young people tapping into this wisdom, this deeper wisdom that you call higher frequency. That is so important. And I wonder why they don't. Most, you see, there's a lot of issues right now. I don't watch TV, so I don't know much about it, but I have heard that a lot of teenagers are committing suicide. They're completely lost, trying to fit in and be what they are not. So, what's your message for them? Like, for they're listening to watching this podcast from you, that's wonderful because they can relate to you. I'm not that old, but I'm probably old for them. But you would, I mean, I would love for you to tell them what to do, or how to tap into that higher frequency, just as a baby step, so they can understand better in a relatable way.
Well, it's really all that's what I did was true compression on myself, not so much of compassion. I mean, I tried to kill myself twice, and I was in a psych ward, and the only thing I did right, the compassion stuff only magnified it, and it made me feel more sorry for myself. But the moment I called myself out on everything I was doing wrong, got out of that victimized mindset. I
Mm.
literally, after it was on this couch that I'm sitting on right here, I came off of a hangover. I woke up after a hangover. I just did, like, I just drank some alcohol, snorted some pills, smoked some weed, and then I got up. I ran into my bathroom mirror, and I was just calling myself, really being truly accountable for my actions, because often we lie to ourselves and try to negotiate with ourselves that we're not really doing what
Mm.
we're supposed to be doing. But
Yeah.
I was really honest with myself. So I was like, John, no, you being a bitch right now, bro. Like, come on, step up. And then look at all the pain you're causing to your people. Because when you do things that's bad, you think that it's affecting only you. But really, it's mainly and mostly affecting the people around you. Like my parents, it was especially. So the thing I did right after that was run 5 miles because I was boxing at the time. So I ran, and my self talk was directly aligned with the person I wanted to become. So if they're just truly honest with themselves
Mm.
and don't try to go looking for an answer when you're in a either medium or low frequency or low state, you have to get to that higher frequency to really connect into the true positive answers. And that's what I did. Like I said, I ran, I got my heart rate up, and I talked to myself in a manner that was strictly aligned with the person that I wanted to become. And ultimately, they wanted to give me a therapist, send me to rehab, put me on medication. I
Mm.
mean, I was in a room inside of the psych ward that they had to watch and observe me through a window and check on me every 5 minutes and shine a flashlight on my eye every 5 minutes because they thought I would seize or die or something because of how much alcohol I had been consuming. And really, I didn't even listen to any of that. I didn't go to rehab because what I was able to do, though, luckily and thankfully, was quit it cold turkey by, like I said, taking accountability
Mm.
and focusing on a greater purpose within myself instead of trying to quit the drink, magnifying that problem. I just fixed myself. That's why I teach my program. That's why it's so good to me, the fitness and nutrition, because ultimately, when you fix that, the drink will go away. The drink went away on its
Mm.
own because I
Yeah.
fixed that within myself and I got tied to a way greater purpose. So I was just truly, truly seeking deep within and being honest with myself. That's all it is.
Yes, you see, that's a beautiful point, an insightful message, being true to yourself. That we talked earlier about being vulnerable and humble. Have you ever actually tried to find out also, if you don't mind me asking, where this searching for outside, to cope with the pain? Where did the pain come from? Is that coming from traumatic events too in your early days as a young boy, or this is something that you're not clear about?
Well, it was all tied to my criminal activity. So this is actually what's crazy is I was raised in a Christian-based home. I would draw pictures of Jesus and everything because I was so connected to him,
Yeah,
and I was so
yeah.
connected and everything. I like the age of like 6 and 8 and stuff like that, like very very young. But there was the biggest known drug dealer in the city. His little brother. I became friends with his little brother, and we became like best friends. And I was like the greatest kid, and he was like the worst kid that came into that
Uh,
Catholic school. So we started hanging around each other. And then, I mean, his brothers were the biggest drug dealers in the city. They got raided for a huge drug bust and everything like that. But
yeah.
the people you hang around is a reflection of yourself. So I started hanging around him, and no matter how Christian based my parents tried to raise me, I ultimately went down that path of negativity because I was hanging around somebody who influenced me more than they did. So that's what happened. And basically, I
Mm,
had gotten arrested. I mean, we tried to make it an organized crime group, but we were so focused on drugs that we didn't care what would happen if we got caught. We just wanted money for drugs. So there was one day I had robbed his house like 3 times. I got arrested for possession of a deadly weapon, possession of stolen goods,
wow,
possession of illegal drugs, breaking and entering, and fleeing from police. And
wow.
and we kept going down. And I used to drug deal to people at my school and their parents as well. I used to sell to, and it was just a whole deal. So I did all that stuff, and my parents found out about it,
Yeah.
and this is the thing, right? When I saw them in so much pain and everything because of what I was doing, I tried to mask it and act like I didn't care because it was so much for me to handle at that time, at that age. And I literally told them I didn't care about their feelings. I told my mom that in front of her face. And I never seen my dad cry before, but I recorded
Yeah.
him crying, and
Yeah.
I used it later for entertainment because in the psych ward they wanted to diagnose me as a sociopath. I never believed that I was a sociopath. I believed that I partook in actions at the time that was sociopathic. But nobody's ever a sociopath or any of that bullshit that they make up in there. So but anyway, that criminal activity and then me seeing the pain I was causing to my people, that would really led me into a deep depression because I was so angry at myself. And that's the thing, right? Like you said, it takes courage to really look at yourself in the mirror. So that was what I was most avoiding, is to really accept how I was feeling and to really change that trajectory. So the moment I did what was most hardest for me, that's when everything changed.
Mm.
That's when everything changed, is when I really accepted it, and I was like, man, I'm really fucked up. I'm hurting all these people. That's what I need to change because I really saw all the pain I was causing to everybody else. That's when I really changed.
Yes.
But the criminal activity is what led to that depression.
Yes. So one thing after another. And then you talked about the influence of other people. So being open to listening, to follow people's advice and suggestions. That's a big one though. Your clients, the people that would be interested in what you do, are they mostly looking for physical change? Basically, they come in and trying to change physically, or they are already looking for some mindset transformation?
No, it's both. But normally when people do come in, they say it's physical, but really they always text me when they're going through some shit. They're like, "Man, like when they're really feeling bad, when they really had that weekend regret, when they really indulged in that
Yeah.
food or that drink that they had, and they're like, "Man, I need to change my life." That's really what happens. But
Yeah.
it's the physical that really helps with it. But it's life coaching. Like I really have this mindset of, as a man, especially, I train women too, and always have, but
Yeah.
as a man, especially when they come to me, I mean, it's our duty and obligation to just perform on a no matter what we're feeling, and I have the right to speak because of all what I've went through and what I do now. Like I haven't missed an early wake up, like 2 a.m., 2:45 a.m., and like 530 something days going. I haven't missed once because like I have to be there for the people that do
Mm,
want to sign up, and for
mm.
my people anyway. I have to show them that it's possible and that this level of consistency is attainable. If a sociopathic alcoholic like me can do it, then they can too. So
Mm.
that's really what it is. But yeah, the physical changes is a gateway to just a way more clarity, because that's what worked for me. That's all I teach is what worked for me. The diet.
Right,
As soon
right.
as I got my diet and nutrition and training on point, my life changed from there. Like I felt so aligned, and I was like, oh, I'm sticking to a plan. And it's not waiting till like the calendar flips. It's not waiting till a New Year's resolution or when everything's easiest at the beginning of the year. It's doing it when it's most hardest, like right now. I did it when all that shit was going on, and ultimately that led to it being way easier down the road because I started when it was most hardest.
Ah, yes, so true.
Yeah.
So we begin with the body because the body influences the mind anyway. So everything is connected. And there's no disconnection. So that's a very good
Oh yeah.
approach. I love the way you talk. You mentioned that again about not being the cause of other people's suffering, like in your case, your parents and all that, and how that changed you. That seems to be a very like a key point, very profound, especially the way you say it. And that's so true, though. Um, I absolutely agree. How do we? I guess I wonder how do we balance that? Not pleasing people because we don't want to live for others either. We want to be authentic. We want to kind of express what we want to express, of course, in a healthy way, if
Yeah.
possible. But how do we balance that, John? In a way, not trying to be with what other people wants us to be because that could happen for trying too hard to be good so people don't suffer. We ended up on the other aspect, on the other side of the scale, kind of not being ourselves. So for young people especially, so what would you say to that? What is your suggestion to keep that balance in mind?
Well, it really doesn't matter what age you are. You just have to validate
Right.
yourself with what you do. So I validate myself, for example. Everybody validates himself for something different, but I validate myself with my wake up time, my early ass wake up time, my diet, and like what I do on a day to day basis. That's most hardest for me. So it doesn't matter what room I'm in or where I go or who's in there. I'm ultimately always confident within myself because I don't have to compare myself to them because I know I validate myself with what's hardest for me and what I do on a day to day basis.
Mm,
And
yeah.
yeah, and you have to validate yourself with that no matter who you're talking to and not try to deter yourself because, like I was saying, I was talking to somebody yesterday and, I didn't get to sign up because I was being authentic because I was calling him out. He's like, why are you, he thought I was being mean to him, but all I was doing was being myself. And I mean, obviously, if you watch my content, you know it's coming. But but apparently he didn't. So I didn't change myself and change my choice of words just because I wanted the $300 a month. I just cared about helping him out and really not lying to him. Because if you lie to somebody like, "Oh, you're fine, you're okay the way you are," that's really being fake.
True.
I'm like, no, you needed to change. You have tits as a man. This is not okay. You're telling me how they weigh 10 pounds each. So why are you So that's just what it is.
Yes, right. So you take each case and you're using your own life as the inspiration. So it's obvious. Your presence says it all. I like the way you said that about also the way you see that you're not labels that an institution could kind of stamp you with. This is, to me, it's crucial that we understand that we are um, personally empowered enough. We have that within us, the wisdom, so we don't need other people to tell us how to live, what to do, what to think. If we just can get to that, what do you call, the high frequency state, then we can get all the answers. So I wonder what is another way of getting there, John. Do you recommend to your clients to meditate, or I don't know, some other kinds of even like microdosing or any other forms of tapping in that higher frequency?
No, like I said, I just do what works for me. Like the physical action, the peak physical performance, I do that. That really works. Like I said, helping others with what you want to receive within yourself, helping them with their problems when you're dealing with one yourself,
Yeah.
that one as well. And just there's many ways, like mine, for example, one of mine, another one is like internal dialogue. So if something is going wrong in my life, then I can really talk myself into a higher frequency just by my
Yeah.
self talk. Like, because I do this, I do that, I've done this. If you keep
Yeah.
stacking wins all day, if you wake up and stack a win, like you got up like 5, 10, 30 minutes earlier, then that's a win. You already feel better about yourself, and you keep hyping yourself up with that self talk. And I've been around a lot of people in the psych ward, and it's like you don't even believe they have mental illnesses because they
Mm.
all seem the same, and they all seem like normal ass people. Some of them, most of them seem like normal people. And right when they're in flow state, they exist in no other problem. They're laughing, they're having fun,
Mm.
they're really talking about all these like topics of like frequency, and it's like, dude, you don't even like. It's not even like you're supposed to be in here now. So it's ultimately, yeah, like so if I've supposedly had depression, sociopath, anxiety, then why am I tapped in such a high frequency and all this right now? Even in the psych ward, we would be like that, and they would be acting normal. I mean, that's
Mm.
all it is. It's just a high frequency state alleviates all of that negativity.
Wow. Yes. And you did talk about the flow state on your website. I made a note here. I'm glad you just brought this the topic into the conversation. Yes, right. But you talked about the flow state on one of your blogs, yeah, on your website. You say, when in flow state, you see nothing but positive outlooks on the past regrets and optimistic thoughts about the future. And then you just mentioned the people with mental illness. Yeah, I have met some of them too. Like in New York, when I used to live there, I used to visit those places to help them somehow as a volunteer. And I remember talking to them, and yeah, they seemed actually more normal than most people that was around me. That would so-called
Yeah.
mentally healthy. They actually seemed healthier to me, much wiser and deeper. So that's what I think it is. Mental illness, whatever mental states, it's just different. Yeah, you could call it different frequency. They are just like a tuning into different frequency. That's all. Because life is so fantastic. I mean, this experience, we can do pretty much anything and be anything in a way. You also talked about habits on your blog. You see, you said your habits determine your future. So I know you mentioned your own habits and what you suggest your clients to do, working out, waking up early. That's what you do. But what are some of the, let's say, the basic habits, healthy habits that you suggest everybody to kind of be aware of, not really to do because we don't want to, there's no boxes. But what is your suggestion when it comes to habits? What else do you have to say about that, John?
Right, and I really like when you say there's no right or wrong. It's just a different way of doing it. I
Yeah.
like that a
Yeah.
lot. But the habits, it's like really I just ultimately I focused on taking away stuff more than adding it.
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
taking away the negativity instead of adding so much positive stuff because I just got overwhelmed and I was like, golly, this is just confusing. So I just took away a bunch of negative stuff
Right.
instead. And really, the habits, my habits, like you said, might be different from other people's habits. Not putting them in a box of you have to do this, have to do that. I just tell them what works for me, and I'm like, hey, this will work for you. Because every time when, let's just say, for example, my mom, right? When she gets up
Mm.
early and comes to the gym with me, she's way more structured and aligned. She feels better in the morning, throughout the day, and her attitude, you can just tell. So I know immediately. I'm like, see, that works, right? So I mean, that's some of the habits, but everybody might have different habits. Like me, meditation it works for me because I was always an anchored individual in the past with all my like previous activities. So meditation helps me get to a grounded level.
Yeah.
But some other men out there might be always grounded where they have to do something that hypes them up to a level like where I'm at, where it's like they have to do some physical activity or something, so whatever works for them to get to that state or that aggression to bring them out. So it's all just like
Mm.
really prioritized differently. And that's what I do in my program. I don't give, let's just say, everybody only my habits that I do. I really corner them specific to their problem.
Yes. So it's customized, personalized. You always
Yeah,
listen,
of
right?
course. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
There's a lot of listening. That makes for a great coach, listening. Yeah, it's interesting you talk about aggressiveness. I just came across because my husband, he has been studying. He's a coach too for mature masculinity. So he talks about the warrior and then the warrior archetype for men. And then they talk about assertiveness and action and clear mind. That's all about that. Being clear in your mind first, and then having discipline and self-control of body, mind, and assertiveness, always doing something, acting from a place of clarity. This message keeps kind of coming back when it comes to the warrior archetype. Of course there are other archetypes, but the one that he focuses on is the warrior. Do you have some you see, out of the box ideas of masculinity? What is to be, like, from your perspective, what is to be a man? What is to be a mature men, what would that look like?
A mature man. It's like for me, for example, in my perspective, like you said, nothing's in a box. So in my perspective,
Yeah.
it's getting up every day, and a man's not selfish, so he gets up and he thinks, how can I best serve my people rather than how can they
Mm,
best serve me? And he
mm,
does whatever he needs to do to serve his family and whoever is closest to him, no matter how he feels. So regardless of how he feels, he gets his shit done anyway. And he doesn't talk to himself in a compassionate way because he only uses compression because as a man, I mean, obviously it's masculinity. So you're going to talk to yourself in a way that really needs to be done. And
mm,
instead of looking in the mirror and saying, "Oh, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this." You say, "No, I'm not okay with this. I have to change it." And really taking true accountability, not blaming anyone else
mm,
for your own wrongdoings. Really taking accountability and acceptance, accepting your wrongdoings yourself so you can move past it, right? And coming home and always being that man throughout the day, knowing how to alleviate that negative mindset, knowing how to bring positive energy around your people and everyone else. Because I mean, if you look in between your legs and you see a pair of nuts hanging because you're a man, you're supposed to get up and do everything you can for others to protect, provide, and serve, no matter how you're feeling yourself, because that's what I do. I know I'm 18, right? And I don't have a wife or kids, but I already know my duty as a man. And there's some people that look up to me already as a father figure, so I know that I have to be there for them and do more than what they
mm.
do to show them what's possible and be an example.
Wow, I love that, John. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Not just mindset, but way of seeing life. I love, love, love the not blaming others, right? Not finding
yeah,
something to blame instead of taking responsibility. I heard this is also in the one of my the warrior archetype. It talks about taking responsibility for what you're not responsible for. That's like one of the big messages, being responsible for what we're not responsible for in a case of, without blaming anyone. That's like, to
yeah.
me, that's the very first step of maturity. where we just take responsibility. You know what? I have to change this. And then you do what you have to do without complaining. Well, it's kind of tough, right? It's a practice, isn't it, John?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you build them calluses, yeah, in your mind, yeah. Over time, you just do the little daily disciplines, yeah.
Yes, right. So it's something that we are always training. It's not a destination that we arrive at.
Exactly.
So I want to mention that your services. So you offer one-on-one personal, online personal training, and then with that, please correct me if I am wrong, although I don't believe in right or wrong. Training for fat loss, binge eating, muscle building. There'll be bulking and nutrition and meal prep. So did I miss anything?
No, that's it. It's really I have a mid-level program. It's like $300 a month, 750 for 3 months, like 2,000 for the whole year. And it's just my mindset training and nutrition program where
Yeah,
like every week we get on a call, a 60-minute weekly group call with everybody and really go over what they're dealing with, their problems, and what's ailing them on a day-to-day basis. And then of course they get in my app. I create a nutrition and training plan,
yeah,
and then my elite level program that really zones in to their own problem themselves. That's like 1,500 a month, and then that's like 3,000 for 3 months because it's really cornered to their problem and what they're dealing with. Like if they're really struggling with some addiction, like
yeah.
how I was, then that's really zoned in to their problem, and it's also training and nutrition. But yeah, with that.
Everything is included. Yeah, you see, I love this. How you're very, let's say, focused on when it comes to using your own life as a message, because that feels very authentic, and also immediately kind of makes us feel safe. Like in my case, or anybody's case with the case of addiction, they would feel safe in your presence. Like, okay, he could have, because you've been there, so you know what it's like. So you mentioned earlier, do you work with women and men, not just men, right, John? Both.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've worked with women. Oh yeah, plenty. Yeah.
Yes.
Especially the women that come in are always older, like 50 plus.
Oh,
Like that's
wow.
yeah. And it's always like it's always a confidence issue. Like for
Mm,
example, one of them was coming in, and they never told me anything about their mental issues. It was always all they were just like at a baseline level of I want to get physically fit.
yeah,
I just want to lose
yeah,
weight. But then I really asked them a deeper question because this is the thing, right? When you go around having normal conversations with people, like you can tap into such a higher frequency if you just ask a deep question. If you either
right,
ask a deep question or
right.
share something deep about yourself,
Mm,
then y'all are
mm,
automatically connecting and y'all like exchange topics of these deep thoughts. So that's what I asked her. I asked her like, what really made you work out? Like, I know it's not just because you wanted to lose some weight. And she said it was a confidence issue, and she went down all this stuff about the mentality and all that. So,
mm.
ultimately, it's always something more.
Ah, true. Gosh, you're so wise. Yes. Yeah, a billion times yes to that. Yeah, it was definitely my case. Much younger though, feeling no confidence. Self-esteem was really low, disconnected. Yeah, so then I used to work out to look good so my confidence would be a bit better. My case was forgiveness, kind of accepting everything that happened in the past and living in the present. That was really the key for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It really feels like it is for most of us. And I love what you said about the meaningful conversations. And that's why I do this. It's one of, I couldn't really connect with people at have small conversations and shallow, narrow. I can't do it even to this
Yeah,
day.
it's like you need this. Yeah.
Yes,
Exactly.
right, right. You see, because this is how I make that sense of connection with others in a deeper way. So it feels safe for me in every situation. I look for that everywhere, at the gym,
Yeah. Yeah.
anybody that I meet, anywhere. I just ask deeper questions and I wanted to go deeper into it.
I do the exact same thing. Yeah, especially in the gym. I mean, it's like if you have all this knowledge, then why not share it to them? Because I want to tell everybody what I know. Especially
Yes.
if you know some stuff. You know, and then it
Yeah.
just feels so good because like even if you get nothing from it, you still love doing it anyway because of the feeling you get. Like
Right.
you have to
Right.
show up, and then it's just have that purposeful conversation and just connect at a deeper level.
Yes. I love that you said that, John, because I have been thinking about, on and on about how do we create this kind of interactions between human beings in kind of odd places, like a gym, that most people really look at to just bulk up and to look good. They don't, they're not thinking about having conversations, deep conversations. I thought before, maybe we can create something that we can bring that to a gym, to a supermarket, everywhere we go, that we can ask deeper questions.
Yeah, because it's like really this is what I believe this world is. A long time ago, or I'll say a long time ago, like a year ago, I had this huge thought, intuitive thought. It was like, um, this world is just external distractions from what's truly internally
Mm,
plaguing us. So like really, I feel like this is it, right? Like the shallow conversations, the external possessions and devices and everything, it's all distractions. Like anything,
mm,
like the TV we watch, anything
mm,
like that, it's really distractions from what truly matters. And God, there's this quote like we don't exist in the world, we're not really meant to be in the world or something, and what that really means is like we're meant to be existing within a way higher consciousness than the world. Like there's tools in the world that helps us connect to that higher frequency, like let's
mm,
just say burpees and stuff like that, that puts us in flow state. And but the deep conversations is where we're really at. Like right here, I'm not worried about any future anxiety or past depression because I'm in the present moment,
right.
really existing right here, because this is what really matters. This is what everyone's purpose is in life, is to really connect on this deep level, because you're free from everything at this moment, you know. So that's what really matters, and I feel like that's where we're all meant to be ultimately. We're always chasing for happiness, but we're always losing it because we're looking for it in the wrong places. But
Right.
this, instead of chasing happiness, chase fulfillment, chase more purposeful decisions instead for perpetual pleasure chasing on things that you desire.
Yeah, that's it. Oh my God, John. Yes. Yes, a
Yeah,
billion times again. That keeps coming back to me over and over again. You see, in what you said, so true. Distractions. We're always looking to distract ourselves. I mean, maybe we are not looking for that, but we are being distracted. And that might be something that society as a whole has created. I don't know, as a this whole structure of the internet. I love the internet, but I always go to the internet to do things that are meaningful to me and could help others. The TV is a bit different because my husband likes sports like football and the UFC and all that. So, and to be connected to him, I do that, and then I sit down next to
yeah,
him, and
right, exactly. That's what I do for, yeah.
it's a mean
Mhm.
of connection again, right? It's a meaningful thing to me. So I
Yeah,
go next to
yeah,
him and all, but it's not right. That's so true. We are looking for deeper understandings of ourselves, of life, and connecting deeper with one another. That's what we need, actually. That's what really it's needed. Connect to
yeah.
ourselves and then others. Gosh, maybe this will come up one day. I hope I don't know, you, me, somebody will do that, at the gym space, because my husband and I, we go to the gym and we talk to people, we have deep conversations with some people, but it's still kind of scattered. Not too many people get involved.
I try to do the same thing. I try to do the same.
Yeah.
But there's people. I mean, there's people in the gym. There's this dude that brings his speaker. I'm like, God damn, dude, do you really have to blast your speaker in the gym? Throw a weight at his head or something? Like, geez.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's just. But yeah, like you said, I try to do that all the time too.
Yeah.
Like if somebody doesn't know what they're doing, especially, I love sharing my knowledge with them and just like just dropping some like wisdom,
Yes. Yes.
because we can always find, really it's not the situation that where we can find anything purposeful from, it's what we make out of the situation. So that's what I always like to say, it's don't try to change the situation, try to change the person inside of it. I mean, there's many
Mm,
situations where you can make extremely spiritual conversations out of, it doesn't have to be a perfect place and a perfect time.
right. Yes. 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 Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I have to say, you surprised me. I apologize for saying that even, but you really went deep, very deep, into your own self, because I noticed that by pursuing personal enlightenment, personal improvement, whatever it is, we tap into universal kind of wisdom. It's interesting. Even going through pain, we ended up kind of facing that universal truth that one, everything's connected, that connection is really the key. So in a way, everything is perfectly fine, but then there's the other side that we wanted to have more fun, I guess, and celebrate. the reflection of what we call high frequency or God or universe. So that would be a lot more fun, I guess, and less unnecessary suffering. And maybe that's why we have these conversations here. I do this and you do what you do, because we are trying to
Right,
find,
yeah.
right, that
And
harmony
it's
in the
like a,
system.
and it's, and sometimes we like. I don't really believe in balance. I like going either all this way or all this way. But you're right though. Like for example, my mom. That's how I bond with her is through watching TV. Her favorite TV shows.
Mm,
We can't be this
yes,
spiritual person 24/7 hours of the day. You know,
yes,
but like you said, these
yes.
conversations always realign us back. So
Mm,
like I'm gonna hop off this podcast with complete clarity in what
yeah,
I do throughout the day because I realign myself with this. And I like what you
yes.
say about the society. Like society labels so many people as so many things, and it actually deters us from the truth of what we really internally want to be ourselves within ourselves.
Mm,
Like you say, we try to fit
yes.
in and do whatever is validated within the people of a society standard instead of really connecting to the higher frequency and validating ourselves through there. But that's what I do. Everybody thinks I'm weird as fuck in my school because I do
Oh, right now.
because of the
You're
way
not.
I talk and everything. Of
Oh,
course, because
wonderful.
I don't operate or I don't listen from anything there, but I do from a way higher conscience level, of course. But yeah,
Yes, how wonderful. I'm really happy for you and myself for, just
of
kind of
course, yeah, hell yeah,
come, yeah, to this. For me, it was much later in life. For you, it's much earlier. So I'm happy for you, happier for you in that sense, because, I missed a lot of this, this celebration of life, really,
yeah,
by
yeah.
not, by being disconnected for so long. But I'm so glad that maybe things are changing, and these frequencies are actually being accessible for everyone now, even much younger people. So we're almost at the end. I want to mention your website. So, kimblefit.com. This is where to find you. And then your programs, everything's there. I know you are on Instagram too, right, John? Instagram.
Yes, Instagram. I'm always on Instagram 24/7. That's the only really social media platform that I'm at. It's just Kimble_fit.
Okay, so I'll have that one too under this podcast profile. The notes will have the Instagram and your website. Are you on Facebook and any other social
No,
media?
just I'm just mainly on Instagram, and that's pretty much it. Instagram and my website.
Okay, so I'll
Yep.
have those two. So before we end this conversation today, I want to thank you again for your presence, for being open to life, for being open to this, even to have this conversation. I know it's a platform I work with a lot of people. Now it has grown. I've been doing this for 5 years, and now I have 12 people around me. I'm not a mother, so now, but I feel like a mother in a way. So it has been wonderful to collaborate with a lot of people who are waking up to their own power, inner power.
Yeah.
So that's just beautiful. Thank you so much for being one of them as well, being here, being present to you, to yourself.
Thank you for this conversation. Yeah, it's
Uh,
always like a better exchange than any like money or anything. It's just a very spiritual,
yes.
deep, enlightening feeling. Yeah,
Yes. And that's what money really is, right, John? It's an energetic exchange. That's what it
yeah,
is. We wish to, I have thought about many times, maybe we could live just by exchanging services and doing that. But I think people have tried, but it
hmm
has not become mainstream. Like everybody doesn't get involved. So we cannot go to the supermarket and say, okay, I'll dance for you. I'll do my best. I'll do something. And you
yeah.
give me bread. That doesn't work. But yeah, it's an energetic exchange. That's what it is. So I'll ask you this last question that I usually ask everyone before we say goodbye for today. What three experiences you wish everyone to have before they die, before they lose the body?
Oh, this one right here is that higher frequency. Tapping
Yeah.
into that. That's the only experience they should fucking experience. I mean, that's the
Mm.
only one that's needed to experience.
Yeah.
Is especially when you're in the lowest of your low, and then like I said, you go help somebody else out that's low as well. Then in return, you'll get helped out exponentially because you went out and like they say, you are the source of what you seek. So
Mm.
you get clarity, so much clarity back in return. And overcoming what's hardest for you is definitely another experience, and another one that realigns you with your best self. Like I said, I overcame what was hardest for me. I looked in the mirror and called myself on everything I was doing wrong, and that's where my life changed, and that's where everything changed for me. That, and of course getting to experience what their body is capable of,
Yeah.
really getting their nutrition and fitness correct, because ultimately that leads to a way higher frequency. Because, well, let's just say this, right? This is one thing. let's just say if a fat dude or a really skinny dude is desiring a really fit body, and they can't really get that full clarity because it's constantly blocked by that desire of that fit body. But when they attain that body, then they can finally
Mm,
reach another level of clarity because that's
mm,
knocked out the way. So that's
yeah.
also just a really enlightening experience.
That's a good point. Yeah. So it's almost like taking away the basic needs, right, for everyone, which is different. So we can go for
Exactly,
right.
exactly. Yeah, like the people
Yeah.
in, I don't even know what's that war
Yeah.
going on. Their whole family just died. If they just got the basic needs and necessities, they would be so happy,
Yeah.
compared to what our
Mm,
problems are out here. Like we have
right.
it so blessed, so and oftentimes we forget about that,
Yeah.
you know, and we
Yeah.
don't really become grateful, but really when we compare ourselves to that, we're really blessed.
That's true, John. Like gratitude comes into play, right? We feel more grateful for what we have instead of trying
Yeah.
to have what we don't, trying to grasp stuff that we don't.
Yeah, because sometimes what we have now is what we used to want to have, and we don't realize
Ah,
that. So
ah,
that's
yes, right. So it's being grateful for what we have in the first place, celebrating that, what is here.
exactly.
Yes, yeah. There's something powerful about that gratitude that has been actually proven scientifically too. So thank you again for your presence, and we'll talk soon. We'll be in touch again. I would love to stay in touch, of course. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much.